Confluences, Intersectional Visions of Italy is an exhibition that seeks to address some of the social, political, and cultural justice issues that are currently being developed and researched and articulated by a spectrum of multidisciplinary artists that work in connection with notions of Italy. This exhibition was born out of an idea, which is the fact that we're all somehow familiar with Italy, but what really Italy is supposed to mean can vary depending on who we are and what our positionality is. This is a group of artists that is multi-generational. Many of them have not exhibited in the context of the United States and definitely not in the context of Washington, D.C. Valeria is a photographer that works mostly with social justice issues that are not very present in the public discourse in Italy. She's originally from the island of Sardinia, and what you see is a newly developed installation that draws from a wonderful book that she published in 2020, which was the result of a multi-year research that she developed in Sardinia on a phenomenon that really gripped the history and also public opinion of Italy for over 30 years, from the 60s to the 90s, which is that of kidnapping for ransom that took place in Sardinia. For instance, here you see a vintage photo of the artist with her mother. She grew up as a child in an island where children were kidnapped for ransom. It's a mix of photography that she developed, archival images, sort of journal-style writing, and here you can see some core quotes, excerpts that are not necessarily the voice of the artist, but is this kind of choral collective vision that is encompassed in the book. The next work somehow still has a connection with this notion of upbringing, of identity, of heritage. It's a work by Alessandra Ferrini. This installation in particular is titled My Heritage, ? Because she wants to reflect on the notion of heritage as a shared responsibility. And what she's reflecting more specifically is on her Italian identity and what is the relationship between this moment in which Italian history was kind of gripped by what we know as fascism and the colonial endeavors that fascism undertook, particularly in Ethiopia in the 30s. What the exhibition presents is also a series of works by a wonderful artist, Mussie. She is an artist who was born in Eritrea and moved to Bologna, to Italy, when she was 2 years old. This video is drawn from a wonderful performance. She's a performer. She works a lot with her body and also through precisely a notion of ethical relationality with other bodies in order to create political sort of encounters among different people from different walks of life. This particular video, Curva Cieca, Blind Curve, is a reflection on what a mother tongue, a native tongue is, and how that forges one's identity. What is happening is that she is in dialogue with a young, blind Eritrean man that she asked sort of to be, that was somewhat the professor of Tigrinya, the Eritrean language that she never learned because she moved to Italy when she was too young. Following this thread on language, writing, construction of meaning through language, she developed this book a few years ago with a group of 40 migrant women, again in Bologna, asking them, what is a book to you? And so this compilation of answers has been brought together and has been hand embroidered by all of these women. And similarly, the video in Spagnuolo Gallery, Oblio, is a documentation of a performance that she developed on the occasion of the Democracy Biennial in Turin a few years ago. Oblio in Italian means oblivion. And as you will see, is a video that documents a very silent, durational performance that lasted an entire day. This was a performance that was designed and was, in fact, carried out in front of the Valentino Castle, which is a castle in a park in Turin that hosted in 1928 a very problematic colonial exhibition where bodies, people, identities, communities from the colonies were brought over and put on view. This is a series of works by Dafne Boggeri. Dafne is an artist based in Milan. She works very much with magazines, fanzines, written word, and how that can become sort of a tool for underground or dissident knowledge and culture to be shared. She's a DJ. She works very much on issues of sort of the relationship, for instance, between music, word, queer identities. She's the founder of one of the most important independent book fair and magazine fairs in Italy, Sprint, which takes place every year in Milan. This was a massive endeavor that she developed over the last few years, titled Out of the Grid, Italian Zines, 1978-2006, and looks at the role of fanzines as independent publishing in the circulation of knowledge about music, queer culture, underground culture, politics, society. These are 3 works from a series developed by another artist based in Naples, Adele del Vecchio, who has worked with scarves, her mother's scarves and foulard that have a particular meaning to her, as she calls herself as a woman of the South, where women still very much use scarves also to go to church, to cover their heads, is part of a social role that women, especially mothers and grandmothers, have and still maintain. What she has done with these scarves is to print on them some excerpts from works of literature, poetry that were seminal, crucial to her upbringing. She's very interested in feminist issues, of course, alongside also quotes or statements that she wrote. Some of you might recognize this scarf says "Heed the Night," and it is a homage to a character of one of Toni Morrison's novels, Love. And this is a quote from a book written by Anna Delso, who was a dissident, a political dissident in Spain in the 1930s. She was an anti-Francoist who was exiled to France. I would like to finish with Binta Diaw, an artist that thinks very much about colonial histories and notions of decoloniality, decolonial thinking. Binta was born in Milan. She's an Italian-Senegalese artist who works between Dakar and Paris. This installation features this very large-scale photo. It's part of a series that is called Paysage Corporel, bodily landscapes, where she investigates Black bodies and mostly her own body. The soil, dirt is always something that recurs in her work, but all the time what she's thinking about is these notions of coming back to the motherland. Where do we sort of draw nourishment and homeliness from? And then the third component in this installation is this series of sculptures that are made with synthetic hair, which she braids personally. And in this particular work, what she tries to do with these braids is to replicate the form of mangroves, the shape of mangroves. The artists invited and featured in this exhibition really seek to address this complexity and the nuances that relate to some of the issues connected to this word that we've been using, Italy.